guys, welcome back to what is already episode number 14 of the toonTALK podcast brought to you by Magpie247. I am joined today by Shane. How are you doing?
Hi Ian, you're right. It's always a pleasure to come on these podcasts with you.
Thank you very much. I'm all right as well. Thank you. Today we are obviously discussing the Spurs result and the Burnley result over the last week. And we might already have a look ahead at next week because we have some really exciting fixtures coming up. But that will, we'll have to wait and see if we have the time to do so. So I suggest we get straight into it in a chronological order by starting with the Spurs game. And the Spurs game, no better place for us to start than with the lineup against Spurs, which we will first listen to a reaction or a prediction, shall we say, from Paul and Kyle to the lineup.
So, just arrived into Newcastle, got packed up and seen the team news and two changes from, I nearly said Goodison Park, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And that is, of course, Tonali coming back into the team alongside Murphy. Bruno is given a breather. He's out on the bench, and Elanga as well. Now, a little bit surprised probably about Elanga, given the fact that that was his best game for us since he signed, in my opinion. Assist. And he was busy throughout. He was direct, he was pacey, he was proving a point, he was getting shots away. Everything that you want to see and you know he's capable of, he was doing against Everton at the weekend. So a little bit surprised maybe he's been dropped, but Jacob Murphy has done certainly nothing wrong this season. I think it's a good team. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. No Visser on the bench. Some rumours, some murmurings he might be on the bench for the weekend. So fingers crossed about that one. That would be really, really good. A really good positive if we could. Newcastle United, I think it's 7, fixtures across all competitions at home. This could be 7 victories in a row. So considering the start to the season that we had, all the issues, all the problems, injuries, the circus around the whole transfer window, to say that is pretty decent. And if we win today, we actually go ahead of the points total at the same stage as of last season. So when you consider that, in that last season, we finished in the Champions League at the end. Yes, by the seat of our pants, I give you that. But we ended up in the Champions League last season and winning a cup. To be ahead of that points ratio at the same stage this season isn't all too bad, especially with the likes of Johan Visser to come back into the team to bolster things up. So, yes, massive opportunity tonight. I talked before about drawing a line in the sand, and I think they have done that. I've talked about how it'll take a couple of games more before I really think that we've turned a corner, from some of the issues, some of the problems, some of the concerns that we had with performances earlier in the season. But look, a victory over Manchester City, an absolutely fantastic performance and victory over Everton away, first trip down to their new stadium. To follow that up with a victory over Spurs would be fantastic. And it's a massive thing for us because we've got Burnley afterwards, 2 home games in a row. 6 points could literally catapult you up this league. I know it's still early in the season, really, but could be massive. 2 big games, 2 massive opportunities, 6 points available, and you've got to think and hope and want to get those 6 points. And I think we desperately, really, really need them if we're going to be serious about trying to get back into the Champions League or some sort of European competition next season. With this Premier League table and this campaign being, I think it's almost like nobody wants it. It's so inconsistent. You get teams winning 1, losing 1, winning 2, drawing 1, losing 2. It's that sort of campaign so far. Nobody's shown any real consistency. So, after these 2 great recent performances in the league, if we can follow it up with another 2 good performances, 2 good results, get another 6 points on, then that's going to be such a shot in the arm for this campaign and this season, no doubt about it. But yeah, happy enough with the team. We're in good form, good spirits. We'll be being buoyed by the performance and the result at the weekend. We'll go into this game with a spring in our step. Hopefully, the performance is there, and at the end of the day, the result is the all most important thing. That we get the 3 points at the end of it, and I'm reasonably confident that we will. I went 2-1 on my finalysis prediction. Easy for me to say. It's been a long day, it really, really has. But yeah, I went 2-1 with my prediction before the match. I want to stick with that. because Spurs, look, they aren't a bad side. They've got the issues, they've got the problems. I think the fans are a little bit unhappy. There's a bit of a disconnect with the manager and stuff, but he's a good manager, and they've got some talented players who can hurt. So we're going to have to be on our best. Be very, very careful, concentrate, apply our game, take it to them, attack, create chances, score some goals, put them under even more pressure, and ultimately get the 3 points. So happy enough. Going to meet up with Carl now, and I'll speak to you at half time.
And then I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the lineup against Tottenham on Tuesday, I think it was, or Wednesday? What did you think about the lineup?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, for me, as soon as I saw Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall on the lineup, it's almost like nothing else really matters, to be honest with you. I genuinely think that they're the two most important players, especially when it comes to the shape that we want to play and the way that we want to play. Those two are so instrumental in that. And it almost doesn't, like I said, just doesn't really matter what, you can pick any one of the midfielders that we've got, defenders, wingers. I mean, it's mainly those two. When those two are out, if one of them's out, you're missing one arm, and if they're both out, you're missing two arms. That's what it feels like to me. But yeah, overall, when I saw the lineup, and I was confident.
Mm-hmm. Because of our lineup or because of Tottenham's lineup?
No, I didn't see at the time. I didn't see Tottenham's lineup.
Oh yeah,
the
okay.
The internet in the stadium is horrendously bad, and we always get there early. Because I go with my son, we'd like to avoid the hustle and bustle, so we get there early. And
Understandable.
I'm basically, I didn't know Tottenham's lineup until the announcer in the stadium told me. But no, just going solely on Newcastle, it just made me more confident for the game when I saw our lineup. I thought it's a very good lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree, especially on the fullbacks. Having Hall and Livramento in there just genuinely makes such a real big difference, both on the defensive end, but especially in an attacking sort of way. Because, I mean, I love Dan Burn with all my heart, but he does not possess the abilities of an overlap or an inverted fullback who can come into the midfield like we saw Hall do against Burnley a lot. So having the two of them who are just genuinely one of the best young fullbacks in the world, especially as a partnership, yeah, that's an absolute gigantic plus for us. Dan Burn did start, but started at center half, so I do not mind that at all. The
Yeah, I love Dan
midfield,
Burn left-sided centre-back, sorry.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will also that Dan Burn, brilliant left-sided centre-back, no good on the left-back position.
completely agree. The midfield was Joelinton, Tonali, Louis Miley. So Bruno Guimaraes actually started the game on the bench, which the last time he started on the bench was against Tottenham as well, but in the cup. But I mean, the first game against Tottenham in the cup did show us that we were able to play and win without Bruno. This game, maybe less so. What were your thoughts on the first half? Because for the people who didn't see the game, the first half ended in a 0-0 draw.
No, I thought we played very well for the majority of the match. To be quite honest with you, we was
Hmm.
all over Tottenham as you'd expect. A dominant display from the fullbacks, really pressing very high up the pitch. I mean, something has to be said for Malik Chow and Dan Burn and the rest of the team allowing that to happen. Because every time Tino pushed forward and really sort of aggressively pressed high up the pitch, you saw Malik Chow just drift over to the right
Hmm.
back position, and sort of cover that area of the pitch. And exactly the same when Lewis Hall did it, you saw Dan Burn do the same. So it's just very well choreographed sort of pressing, really. And it's like I say, it all starts with Hall and Livramento. I was shocked to see Bruno not start the match, but then at the
Hmm.
same time, he can't play 90 minutes of every game. And I was very happy with Lewis Miley winning his aerial duels as well.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost one. I
Hmm.
might be wrong, but yeah, no. So for the first half display, I was happy. I was for the majority of the match. I was,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah, I felt the same, especially after that first half. We did have the big opportunities of that first half. We created the most. Uh, we had a lot of shots on target as well, which I mean, Tottenham at the end of the game, Tottenham scored with their only two shots on target, which is an absolute shambles on our part. But I do think it's right of you to highlight Malik Chow because he was great yet again. His SofaScore rating of that particular game doesn't necessarily reflect it, but his positioning is so unbelievably smart. When you have two athletic fullbacks like Luis Hall and like Tino Livramento, you want to be able to utilize that and you want to be able to send them forward on the pitch, be it either to trigger the press or to carry the ball forward themselves. But you can't do that when you consistently have to worry about the space you leave him behind. That isn't necessarily a worry with a player like Malik Thiaw, who is so positionally intelligent as well. That's something I have started to notice over the last few games, is that he's got a really great understanding of what's going on around him, what his teammates are likely to be doing next, and he anticipates that already. So again, we've said it before, but what an unbelievable signing he has turned out to be from
Yes.
AC Milan.
Yes. When you're talking about position as well, I will say that obviously Malik Chow goes over to cover for Tino when he goes and aggressively presses, as does Dan Burn on the left. But then that does leave a gap in the middle, and what I saw quite often was Tonali was just dropping down in there as well.
Yeah.
So just from those three players, Tonali, Chow, and Burn, that allowed Tino and Hall to go up, and I just saw that throughout the game, and I just thought it was I think Tottenham struggled with that. Could have struggled very massively with Hall. Hall had his number, didn't he? And yeah, I was just very impressed. I wasn't. If I have to give a negative, I would have to probably say Joel Linton just giving the ball away far too many times.
Yeah.
For my liking. I think he must have given the ball away about 3 or 4 times, but it was in a short spell, and I just thought, God. Come on, you're one of the senior sort of cemented midfielders on the pitch. You need to be setting the examples.
And you're better than this as well. Joe Linton, especially, I mean, this is a quick look at it, but I thought he was probably, especially in the first half, our best player against Burnley yesterday. So that is a massive difference to the performance against Tottenham on Tuesday.
Yeah. He wasn't. I don't think he wasn't playing against Burnley in the first half, was he?
Joe Linton. Oh no, he wasn't. What am I confusing? Was it against Spurs then that I thought he was looking good? Maybe it was actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do.
Was it against Spurs? He hit the post in the first half.
Yeah, he did it at the post.
Yeah. It was okay. So then I do want to go back on my words, and I want to disagree with you there slightly,
Right,
which is
fine,
fine, which is
exactly
perfect for a
yeah.
podcast. But I actually thought Joe Linton was getting himself about really well in the first half. Yes, he did lose possession a couple of times, and he is too experienced to be doing so. You're probably right about that, but in a game which we were creating chances, but apart from the fullbacks, there was a lot of static play, a lot of people just kind of waiting in their positions for something to happen or for the ball to drop to their feet. And in that sort of game, I thought Joe Linton was putting himself about really well, trying to get into duels really well. And if you're playing players like Cristian Romero, Rodrigo Bentancur, you need these nitty gritty lads to really bite in that midfield, and I thought Joe Linton did that really well. But it was 0-0 after the first half, with Joe Linton probably having the best chance of the game. Let's listen to what Kyle had to say about the halftime thoughts, and Paul was obviously with Kyle at that point.
So half time you have St James's Park, and it's goalless in quite a strange half. Actually, we started the game really strong and on the front foot, and it only looked like a matter of time, and then it just kind of went really flat. Joe Linton hit the post, was really unlucky with that. We had a couple of chances, but it seems Spurs are playing a low block and trying to frustrate with Paul.
Yeah, that's our kryptonite, isn't it?
There we go.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Spurs have come with a game plan. They've come with a low block, the kryptonite for Newcastle United. They've been a bit of a sort of all fur coat, no knickers type job. They've not offered really anything from an attacking sense. They just sat back. My worry is, of course, yes, we come close to the Joe Linton one, but there's a certain Brazilian bastard who's on the bench for them who has a little bit of a habit of turning up against us. So that's something to be concerned about. But look, second half, we've got to come out fresh, momentum, winding ourselves, trying to get the first goal, because I think we score the first goal, and they will collapse like a bloody deck of cards, to be honest.
Well, that's my thoughts as well. I'm thinking like with you can tell they look low on confidence, and there's been things with the players and the fans at Tottenham. You'd think if we can just get a goal, they'll capitulate. They're in bad form at the minute, and most of their point has been on the road, which I suppose is a bit of a negative considering we're playing at home. But I think it's an opportunity for some players to maybe come in. I was saying to Paul during the game, like if Anthony Gordon was actually on form a little bit, this would be a perfect game for him. Or maybe even Anthony Elanga, a little bit of energy, someone a bit more direct. Barnes is having a good job of it on the left-hand side, but Murphy's offered very little. In the middle, barring hitting the post, I don't think Joe Linton's offered too much. So I'd maybe look at Bruno coming on and maybe bringing on either Elanga or Anthony Gordon as well, just to give away a little bit of energy going forward. Back four looks fine. Hall, Tino doing really well. Burn and Chow look very composed and not very many problems.
And Ramsdale hasn't had a save, has he?
Yeah, but it's been a close game, frustrating game. Tottenham haven't offered very much, but I feel like if we can get that goal, I don't see Tottenham really having anything of a comeback. So our first goal for us is all important, but it's goalless at the break, but a big half ahead. How are the lads?
And then for the second half, the goals finally started to go in, starting off with the first goal from Bruno Guimaraes. Nice little assist from Nick Woltemade. An equalizer then from Tottenham. It has to be said, really good header from Cristian Romero at the near post. It's unfortunate we let it in, especially so fast after we go in front. But then we concede a penalty. In my opinion, it is a stonewall penalty. I've seen a lot of people say it isn't. But yes, Dan Burn and Rodrigo Bentancur are holding one another in that clinch moment. But the breakthrough moment that makes it a penalty there is when they start going to ground. Bentancur sets his feet and then kind of pushes against Dan Burn, and that because Dan Burn has got his head locked underneath Bentancur's arm, he can't go anywhere, so he just swipes away his footing completely from there on. So I think it is a stonewall penalty. Not the best taken by Anthony Gordon, but it ended up in the goal anyway, so that's not necessarily important. And then the 2-2 from Cristiano Romero. That genuinely is just throwing away 2 points, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Just going back to the penalty as well, I've heard a lot of pundits such as like Jamie Carragher and all these sort of, riffraff, and they're all saying, "Oh, it wasn't a penalty. It was never a penalty in a million years," and all this sort of stuff. Well, I was at the stadium and I was right behind it, and what they don't tell you, and nobody's saying in sort of the wider media, is that the referee came over to basically have a word. He stopped the corner being taken, came over, had a word with the Tottenham defenders as if to say, "You can't do this." Literally, as he was walking away, they started doing it again. The corner coming in, they've done that. It's like the referee has literally told you not to do that, and then immediately you've started doing it again. And then as the corners come in, you've wrestled Dan Burn to the ground. And if you look at where the ball went exactly where Dan Burn's head would have been.
Yeah.
And then when you put all that into context, you think, well, and he's wrestled him to the ground. See, people say, you'll see this happen all the time. Well, then you should see penalties all the time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
That does not make it right. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't like it when balls come in, crosses come in, corners and free kicks come in the box, and then you get a defender that just falls down on the floor. It's a free kick, and then I think what a horrible, pathetic sport it's become in that regard. Because then you don't have to worry about, you don't have to train heading the ball out from defence. You just have to fall on the floor and you get a free kick, and it's too much like that. But that's not falling on the floor after challenging a header. That's been wrestled to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand how anybody involved in the sport, especially involved in the game, who used to be a player, how can anybody look at that and say not a penalty? I just genuinely, I'm at a loss. I never played the game at any high level, but I've watched a fair bit of sport, and it's like, how can that? I genuinely don't understand how anybody could say that's not a penalty.
Absolutely. Yeah. According to the letter of the law, it is a clear penalty. And
According to the vision and the visuals,
yeah, exactly,
forget the
exactly.
law. You just forget the law. Anyone, if you didn't even watch football, you'd say, "Hold on a minute, that doesn't look right." You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
But
not
the thing
WWE. It's football.
the thing is, I'm for one, and this is leading into a real broad discussion, but I for one am not a big fan of penalties. I think there needs to be a very big look at the whole penalty system, because I don't agree with the fact that if you have a 0.01 xg chance somewhere in a corner of the 16-yard box, and you try to cross it into no man's land and someone handles the ball, all of a sudden it turns into a
Yeah,
0.87 xg chance. That doesn't seem fair to me.
yeah. No,
But
I get. Yeah,
with
I
Dan
get you.
Burn,
I know. Yeah, yeah.
it's
Sorry.
exactly the thing that you pointed out. With Dan Burn there in that position, that's nearly a full XG. He is so reliable in those sort of areas. And the cross comes in and he's just sat on the floor because of Rodrigo Bentancur. So yes, it is always a penalty. I completely agree. Exactly the right choice by VAR
And,
to call over the referee.
and what I will add is, I think we should have more penalties of the same nature, because if you're going up against Dan Burn in the box,
Hmm.
you're not going to win a header. You're not going to win a header with him. Not one single Tottenham player on that pitch would have won a header with Dan Burn. So the only thing that they can do is bring him down, wrestle him to the ground, block
Exactly.
his movements, block his channels. There's a way that he can try and block it sort of legally, but then
Hmm.
there's a way that you can block it illegally, and there is a fine line. But that crossed the line. They
Yeah,
blocked it.
absolutely.
We saw Arsenal do it, and they got bodies in the way, they got shoulders in the way. Havertz is quite a tall guy and
We
stuff
saw
like
it
this.
yesterday with Gordon against Dubravka. That was leaning on being a foul, but it actually isn't a foul, and we've seen it
Yeah,
time and time again this
yeah,
season with corner kicks, that you actually do get the freedom to make the goalkeeper's lives difficult, as long as you
yeah,
don't clearly push them away, which
yeah.
I mean, Anthony
In
Gordon did
fact,
really well.
to be honest, I think it's something we should work on with Dan Burn, because we're really, we should be scoring more from corners because we're taller.
Hmm.
We're tall. I think we must be the tallest team in the Premier League. Got to
Yeah,
be.
we probably
Uh,
are, yeah.
and with we should be scoring. We should be scoring more from corners. If we can't score directly from the corners, then get yourself about, get yourself in the box, and make them make the foul, and then get the penalty. Because then eventually, the more it happens, the more they're going to stop doing that, and then we can have a fair challenge for a header, and we're probably going to score more corners. So I think that is something. I'd flip that on its head when people say, "Oh, that shouldn't be a penalty." I think no, it should, and we should have a
Mhm.
lot more as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And it also will make the corner kicks a little bit easy to look at, because now, I mean, the chaos that unfolds with every single corner kick inside the box, especially when Arsenal is playing, I think it might be time to have a look at that and kind of rewrite the rules, because it's getting a bit crazy now, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's a flip side of the coin, because obviously we're poor at defending set pieces.
Hmm.
We are extremely poor at defending set pieces, and so our opposition are getting a lot of, um, you know, they're getting a lot of goals against us through set pieces, through corners. It's about time that we start doing that as well, because if they put a ball in the box and we wrestle them to the ground, then straight away we're going, oh well, we just get away a penalty.
Hmm. Yeah.
So and you can imagine well, you saw the Arsenal game, didn't you? How many times, if they didn't win the ball, how many times were they throwing themselves on the floor with the hands in the air
Hmm.
claiming for a penalty? I'd say if you say what's highlighting that sticks in your mind with the Arsenal game, it's that. It's Gabriel or Celebro, whoever it was,
Yeah.
just throwing themselves literally arms in the air mid fall, asking for a penalty when someone's put the little finger on his shoulder and stuff. It's terrible.
Yeah,
You
it
just have
is.
to play. I think you just have to start being a bit wise and playing them at their own game, because until it's all right saying they need to do something about it, but until they do, we have to play the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. Is there anything else you would like to add on Newcastle Tottenham? It was,
Yeah, just the pathetic overhead kick. It was just so bad,
yeah.
and it's again throwing away points. Like you say, just literally just chucking 2 points in the bin.
Hmm.
From a winning position at home, we've gone into the last minute, and again it's a set piece, and again it's just tore us apart, and it's just terrible, and and it just happens far too many times. Far too many times,
Mm.
and it's almost like we have to be winning by 2 goals in the going into the last 5 minutes of the game, just so we know we can seal it out, because it's almost like we know we're going to concede in the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from the Fulham game and games where we're winning comfortably, like Forest and Wolves at home, and obviously the Champions League games, which we just obviously smash everybody in the Champions League. That's fine. But then, league games against Liverpool, against Arsenal, against Spurs, against Burnley, against, you know what I mean? And I suppose the Man City game was the only one where we we were under pressure. We weren't winning it comfortably like we were with the Wolves and Forest. And we did actually ride that out.
Mm. Yeah.
So, fair play. But that's one game against how many that we didn't,
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a fair point. We are giving away far too many points from winning positions, which for team chasing Champions League football is not a good place to be at all. It was actually really interesting, the Belgian commentator, because I have to watch the games on television. So the Belgian commentator actually, right before the goal went in, they got the corner, and when they got the corner, the commentator said, "I have a feeling the Newcastle United players have already got the thought in their head that we've won it, lads. This is just Tottenham. We've done it. We've won it late. We've got it in the bag." And right after he says that, the Cristiano Romero overhead kick. How does not a single person just connect with the ball? Everyone is just watching it dribble in.
Yeah. To say you brought an extra defender on in Shaw as well to put what essentially turned into a back five for the last few minutes, and you still can't defend that. It's just terrible. You actually put another defender on for that instance.
And still you have not a single one who is concentrated.
It's one of them. It's crazy, but I suppose it happens, and I suppose positives is we didn't lose. But when you look at a game that we was in control of for most of the game, we were in control of it. It 100% feels like 2 points dropped.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% it does.
And otherwise, it would have been 12 out of 12 from our last 4 Premier League outings, which is a really, really great place to be, especially after the Brentford and West Ham games that came before. So losing these points, we're still unbeaten in 4. 10 out of 12 is still not a bad points total to get from these 4 games. But it could have been better. That's more so what we're trying to say here.
Yeah, I suppose when you say losing points from winning positions, I'm not too bothered about that. Well, I am, but I'm not too focused on that, because you say the winning positions against West Ham and Brentford, they didn't feel like winning positions.
Yeah.
Yes, we was 1-0. We was 1-0 on the scoreline, but like against Brentford, I'm like, we went 1-0 up, and I'm like, if you asked me who was going to win the game, I would have still said Brentford straight after the goal. I genuinely just didn't feel like we was in the game, didn't feel like we was controlling the game. I suppose the difference with the Spurs game is we were in full control of that game for large parts of it, and we were dominant, and we didn't make that dominance count as much as we should have, and we paid the price for it. That's those sort of games is where we feel it. Against Arsenal, again, we went 1-0 up against Arsenal, but we didn't really. Yeah, we played well, but it was a game that was on a knife edge. It could have gone either way. So them sort of games I'm not too fussed about. It's not so much the games where we go 1-0 up on the scoreline. It's the games we dominate and then lose or draw, which is what we need to address.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's have a listen to what Paul's final thoughts were after the game against Tottenham.
Well, I know we're into December, but it's a little bit early, I still think, to watch Groundhog Day yet again. Newcastle United throw it away late in the game. We've done it against Arsenal, we've done it against Liverpool, and now we've done it against Spurs. And look, I wouldn't mind so much a draw in the cut and thrust of Premier League action. The top and bottom of it is, this is a draw against a shit team. They played shit, they played defensively, the time wasted, they dropped to the floor, they were assisted by the referee at every opportunity. They should have finished with 10 men. I don't know how the hell the referee didn't see that one when he was through and taken down as a clear and obvious error, a clear and obvious red card. I just don't get that. But look, the top and bottom of it is, we can talk about the referee, and yes, he was shite. We can talk about 9 minutes stoppage time, which was scandalous. But the top and bottom of it is, folks, it's down to us. We weren't good enough. We didn't have enough cut and thrust and imagination. Yes, we got a few crosses in. Yes, we had plenty of possession in the first half, but that means jack shit in today's modern game. It really, really does. And in the Premier League, that the only thing is consistent is inconsistency. Newcastle United are the poster boys for it. So inconsistent, going away to Everton, a fantastic performance, a great result. Today, it was neither. It really was. We made lots of little short passes across the defence, and look, just when you think you get out of jail card, you get the penalty kick right at the end. Gordon slots it away, and that'll do him a world of good. To be fair, you feel you've got out of one. It wasn't pretty, but you escaped with the 3 points. They can't see it out, despite going for an extra centre back. Despite all of that sort of tactic, it wasn't to be. And twice they come from behind to salvage, to scrape a draw, a poor, pathetic Spurs side who, again, like us, didn't really show much imagination or nothing, and it's simple goals we're conceding. Oh my word, I was screaming for them to go for the corners, to keep hold of the ball, but they were just doing none of that. They were just giving it away, sloppy balls out of play, giving the ball back to them all of the time. And I said, look, I've been to too many Newcastle United matches over the years and years and years. I've seen this sort of thing happen before. I said, this has got a final twist in the tail, and of course it had to be. They get a point. They didn't really deserve a point. They came for nothing more than a point, though. But for us, it's 2 points dropped again. And a frustrating night at St James's Park. Freezing cold, atmosphere up and down. Not the greatest. And we've got to dust ourselves down quickly because we've got Burnley this weekend. Hopefully the Tonali substitution at half-time, that's nothing too bad and too serious. And he's okay. Maybe it was cramp or something like that. I don't know. I haven't heard Eddie Howe. I've come literally up a mountain after coming out of St James's Park. Got back to the car. Listened to nothing. But yeah, the underlying word is frustrating. It's a missed opportunity. It's points down the bog again. It really is. Yeah, and like I touched upon before, in an inconsistent season, I thought this was the perfect opportunity. I said so in a note before the match. 2 home games to get 6 points on the board and really push us up into the European mix. But this is 2 that we've just so sloppily given away. Gutted, disappointed, down, but not out. We go again at the weekend. Finish Newcastle United 2, Spurs 2.
And that's a perfect time for us to move on to the Burnley result, because that one is a little bit more fresh in the memory. That was yesterday's game in the Premier League. We did go out and win that game 2-1, which is not the biggest of margins, but 3 points is 3 points, I suppose. And we did concede late, which would have otherwise made it a 2-0 and a bit more convincing. What did you make of the starting 11 against Burnley? Some rotations in
Yeah,
comparison.
I didn't like to see Dan Burn at left back. I will be honest with you. Love to see Dan Burn as a centre back, but not as a left back. As soon as I saw the lineup, I knew that Dan Burn was going to be left back, and I just lost a little bit more hope and belief and confidence. I just think play Alex Murphy there, you know what I mean, or swap Tino there. I even put Tino on the left and put, like, I don't know, Jacob Murphy as a right back. I'd rather have Jacob Murphy as a right back than Dan Burn as a left back. Honestly, it's so bad.
Yeah, or Alex Murphy. If you're not going to play him against Burnley at home, why is he even on the bench?
Exactly, and then you loan Target out to Middlesbrough. You loan Target out to Middlesbrough. You're saying that, basically Murphy's not going to be good enough. So then we're left with, you know what I mean? Well, then if in that instance, we've got a left back crisis, because if you're putting Dan Burn in left back when Hall needs the rest, then it's not good enough. That was my only sort of gripe. I don't mind any wingers. I don't mind any combination of the midfielders. I don't mind any combination of the centre backs. They'll do me fine. Even the keepers, I know Pope was injured, but if it's Pope or Ramsdale, I'm not really asked.
Oh, yeah. That is actually maybe something we should have touched upon for the Spurs game. The Premier League debut for Ramsdale.
Yeah, but it kind of took it away, the fact that Pope got injured, so it wasn't really a decision to put,
Yeah.
And I suppose, Premier League debut, but we have seen him twice, and we've actually seen him play against Spurs in the Cup, so it didn't really feel like anything significant for Ramsdale. And obviously he's played in the Premier League many times for Sheffield United and Southampton. So, I get it. It's first time. Well, and he played in the half against Brentford, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was subbed on right
So
after we conceded the penalty. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, so it didn't really seem like any sort of significance. It was just like, oh,
Mm,
Ramsdale's in there. But yeah, so when it comes to the lineup, other than Burn at left back, I had no gripes at all. But I get why Hall was rested, and I thought, and I actually was, yeah, I was all for that. Yeah, rest Hall. But because obviously we've got Leverkusen and Sunderland coming up, and all within the
absolutely.
space of like 4 days. So I get it, but like I said, just give Alex Murphy a chance, or give someone else a chance.
Mm.
You know, it just seems like we lose a bit when Dan Burns at left back. We get, he does climb up there to win the headers, but then if it goes behind him, we're absolutely screwed.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is exactly what teams look to target when they see Dan Burn playing in left back. Which I mean, I would do the same, so I completely understand. The reason I did want to touch upon Aaron Ramsdale, as you said, it wasn't necessarily a Premier League debut for him or even Newcastle United debut. But the really interesting thing that which I saw both in the Tottenham game and in the Burnley game is how quickly we actually started to utilize a goalkeeper that has 2 feet. We weren't we were pretty comfortable with trying to pass it back towards him, and with the first few times we did so, he actually put up some line splitting passes which were really great against Tottenham. Less so yesterday, but it's really difficult to do so against the deep sitting Burnley, so I don't necessarily blame him for that. But it is a really interesting different facet to maybe our build-up play and something we haven't seen Newcastle United do with Nick Pope in between the sticks. So that could be exciting. Let's have a listen to Paul's thoughts on the starting 11 against Burnley.
So I've just got into Newcastle now and got backed up, which isn't an easy feat by by half, to be honest. Seen the team news and he's rang the changes. I suppose if he's going to do it against Burnley at home is probably the time and place to do it. Burnley at left back does concern me. It does. It would concern me if it was the first team against the under-17s or something like that. It always concerns me. I love Dan Burn a bit, but he's not a left back. He's never been a left back. He never will be a left back. He's not a left back. He's a centre back. But Chow and Cher are in the two at the back today. They've got the centre back start, which will probably mean a move over for Chow to the left hand side of defence, and he'll play Cher on the right hand side. Livramento is the fullback on the right-hand side. Say Burn is left-hand side. Ramsdale in goal. Then in midfield, some big calls again here. Bruno will lead the charge, no doubt about that. But he's also got Willock and Ramsey beside him. He finally gets an opportunity after waiting ever so patiently. Opportunity knocks. It's up to Ramsey now to prove that he deserves to be starting games in the middle of the park for us going forward. And then on either side, the impressive, the goal getting, the assist generator that is Harvey Barnes is dropped to the bench, and he makes way for Gordon, who had a great cameo, it must be said, even in that frustrating game against Spurs. So yeah, one side it'll be Gordon on the left, and on the right side Alanga. Again, opportunity for him. There's some players in this team today that need to grasp the situation and grasp the opportunity if they want to be having a long-term future at Newcastle United. And obviously up front, Nick Voldemade. But let's get to the bench. The bench obviously has got everybody that you would expect to have on there. Hall is there as well, so it is just a case of resting them as opposed to any sort of injury or anything like that. Tonali makes the bench, relieved because he is such an important player for us. I didn't want him to miss any time. But Visser is on the bench. Johan Visser is on the bench. And that is absolutely huge. It's massive. I'm over the moon about that. Finally, some different options to be able to call on. So we'll hopefully get to see him today. Probably just a cameo, 5-10 minutes towards the end. Hopefully by then we're already cruising. If we're not, the little hair that I have got, I will be pulling out. We need a victory today. It's a bit wet. It's damp. It's overcast. It's a typical winter day in England, to be honest. But I'm going down there expecting expecting it's got to be a comfortable day at the office with the players that they've got out. They've had another player who's got a suspension that was dropped on them last night. So their preparation isn't great. They've lost about 5 in a row. And we've got to take advantage at home. We need the points, pushing to the top half of the table and get a little bit more positive momentum. 7 out of 9 as we go into this game. We need to be coming in and saying we've got 10 points out of the last 4 games. at the end of today's matchup, as I'm coming back to the car at 5 o'clock tea time ish. We need to be in that sort of position. Confident for me. For analysis prediction, I went 3-0, and I'll stick by that. So a nice 3-0 would do very, very good. It's the Scott Parker derby. It's Newcastle United against Burnley, and it's kicking off in about 35 minutes. So I better get my ass over there.
And for my thoughts, I'm always quite interested to see midfield partnership of Jacob Ramsey and Joe Willock, because I think they're quite similar players, really energetic wing slash midfield hybrid kind of players. And I also like Bruno Guimaraes in that number 6 role, because from the City game onwards, that was the first game where Eddie Howe switched him and Sandro Tonali back, because normally it's Sandro Tonali sitting in that number 6 role. And the way that Bruno Guimaraes is a genuine deep-lying playmaker, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love his split, his line-breaking passes, his through balls in the air are great as well. He is just such an unbelievable... Yeah, he dictates the tempo of our play so unbelievably well. And then for the wingers, I was also glad to see Anthony Elanga get a start, because yes, Jacob Murphy has had the better season so far for us. There's no doubt about that. But you have to keep rotating those wingers and give those wingers an opportunity if you want them to find any sort of form. And yeah, those were my thoughts on the starting 11. The one thing I was worried about is this is now the second game in three, or in our last three, in which Sandro Tonali has started on the bench. So I think he's struggling a little bit with something, some niggling injury. I don't know what it is, but he was also subbed off again at halftime against Tottenham. So there's clearly does seem to be something missing.
Yeah, it could be, but I mean, or is he? Well, I would say is he just being rested, but to be subbed off on the 45th minute against Spurs, that's not being rested. That's being taken off, isn't it? But then again, he did come back against Burnley, and he did. I saw him in the warm up before the game, looked okay, and he came on the pitch and looked okay. So I don't think there's too much there. I think it's just he's probably took a knock, as you do in training and in matches. And he's probably just took a knock, and I think he'll be fine. I think he's just, it's being cautious as well, just not, depleting everyone's fitness straight away. I think what I've noticed as well is I think Eddie Howe, like, if Bruno's in the midfield, he sort of trusts the rotation a bit more.
Yeah, he does.
So,
and I get why.
Yeah, it's so, like, when you get Bruno in central mid, you can play, well, in this instance, he played Willock and Ramsey, and I thought Willock had a good game. To be quite honest with you, I thought Ramsey had a good. They all had a good game. It was such a brilliant game, wasn't it? Are we going to do the review of the game?
Yeah, let's do it. First of all, let's start with the first half. So, I mean, there were some chances, not necessarily too many exciting things happened, and then Newcastle United get their first corner kick of the game. Bruno Guimaraes lines it up and curls it in the far corner himself.
Yeah.
An Olympic goal from Captain Marvelous. I mean,
yeah.
Where were you in the stands to?
I was on the Gallagher, so I was on the opposite end to that, because that was on the Leeds end. But me and my son was watching, and it was like was that direct from a corner, or did anyone get a head on it? It was hard to just see. It was like, surely that wasn't direct from corner.
It was.
And then we heard murmuring saying that it's Bruno's goal, and we saw Bruno celebrate. I'm like, it was. And then when the announcer said Bruno, I was like, that was direct from a corner. That's insane. Because it was really a hard angle, because it curves in. Because there's so many bodies in the box from the other end of the pitch. It's so hard to see if someone didn't get like a head on, or if it hits the keeper's glove and goes in. You just don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, but if you watch the replay, you actually see how cleanly he swings it, and it just lands so beautifully in the side netting as well. It's an unbelievable goal.
Yeah, I don't think Dubravka would thank him for that after the game, though.
I mean, that's not necessarily our problem, is it?
No. But it's like, the good mates and stuff like that, and then after the game, like, oh, thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah,
Then look arrived,
but
and, whatever there.
I did see Martin Dubravka before the game. I think it was say to a journalist that Eddie Howe dropped him last season after promising him more game time when he signed the new deal. So there probably were some tensions when he eventually did leave. But yeah, I'm sure those tensions weren't there between him and the players. They probably still get along really well. And
Yeah,
he'll have been gutted to see that one go in when it happened, but after game he'll probably have found it quite funny actually, or be happy for Bruno Guimaraes as well.
yeah.
The one thing I want to slightly disagree with you upon before we move on to the second goal is Jacob Ramsey. I didn't think he had the greatest of games. I
That's
thought
a fair comment.
yeah, I thought he lost possession in really interesting areas for us a couple of times, which is unfortunate. He looked a bit sloppy as well, and he gave away the handball for the penalty as well in the second half, which we will get onto. But he did show energy, and he was putting himself about and making himself available. So it's not a 3 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10 at all. I would give it a 5 out of 10 because
I
I
suppose,
know
yeah, I
he can do
suppose,
better, but
yeah.
he seemed to be nervous. That's what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
I suppose to counter that, do understand what you're saying, but I suppose to counter that is we're comparing him to who plays on that left hand side of the midfield three, which is Joe Linton, who against West Ham and Brentford in particular, give the ball away far too many times himself. But what I would say about Ramsey is that he is more a progressive player, so he's always looking to get attack and get involved in the attack and come forward. And
Mm.
when you do that, you're then all of a sudden surrounded by a lot of opposition players, and then there's more room for error, more margin, less margin. So I understand why he could potentially give the ball away. I'm not saying, your point's wrong. I'm saying that your point is right, but I'm saying the reason why your point is right is because he's putting him is in more high risk positions to give
Absolutely.
the ball
Yeah.
away. But then that's why I liked him. That's why I liked his performance, because he was brave in doing that and he was getting forward, because that's exactly what we want. We don't want pass, along the side, pass, swap it from the right to the left and scanning. I get that that's part of the build up, but also we do want sometimes where we just penetrate them. And I think he was looking to do that a lot, and that's why I like him, and that's why I liked his performance. Although I do understand that it weren't the best performance. I understand,
Mhm.
100%. It wasn't. I'd probably give him like something like a high sixes just below the seventh, like something like 6.9.
That's completely fair enough. SofaScore gave him a 6.6, so you're not far off.
Yeah,
Um,
I suppose. Yeah, but I mean that's stats and passing and heading and stuff. I'm just
yeah,
looking at visual.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you are right in saying that he does get forward. He does look to create for us, which is a really important thing for us, especially if we lack creative midfielders, which I still feel we do. But you did touch upon Joe Willock, and I did think he had a great game as well. Before we move on to a bit more of those specifics, let's have a listen to what. Oh, firstly, Anthony Gordon's goal, the penalty which Burnley gave away. I mean, it's really unfortunate for Uguchuku, I think it was the number 8 for Burnley. Really unfortunate the ball lands on his arms, but those arms aren't in a natural position at all, so it's a very clear penalty.
it's almost like it looked like he was playing volleyball. To be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah, it really did. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this penalty was really convincingly put away by Anthony Gordon because when the handball first happened, I didn't think they were going to call it for a penalty because I didn't see well enough what had happened. But that was the point I started thinking, who is our penalty taker? Oh yeah, it's Anthony Gordon. Do I think or do I have the confidence Anthony Gordon will score every time with a penalty? And then I thought I'm not the biggest fan of his technique because of mostly where he put it against Tottenham, and that penalty against Everton still lingers in my mind.
Yeah, same here. I was going to say about the Everton one.
Very much so. But this one was really, really confidently put away in the bottom left-hand corner, which is, yeah, no criticisms there from my behalf. So let's have a listen to what Paul's thoughts were on the first half.
Look, I'm keeping this short and sweet. Half time, we're in control. We've got a man advantage. But look, we haven't even got out of first gear. I thought Joe Willock's been good, impressive. Malik Chow, of course, that goes without saying. They haven't offered anything really in attack. But they have been first to every second ball. We need to get better, sharper. The midfield hasn't really clicked, hasn't really worked without any natural pivot in there. But look, we've got our noses ahead somehow. We have had other advantage. Well, yeah, we have had other opportunities as well, but it isn't a classic performance by any means. But look, at the end of the day, the result is all important, and Newcastle United have that. We have the advantage, as you know, we have the man advantage and we have the goals advantage. So second half, I'm looking for us to kick on, push on. I'm looking for Eddie to get literally a flea in the ear of several players, especially Jacob Ramsey. Goodness me, we need much better in the second half. We don't want a squeaky bum situation when it gets to full time. Don't let them back in. Try and get a third, a fourth, and let's just see Worcester as well. Why not?
And that allows us to move on to the second half, which was a bit more of a rigid performance from us, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I did like I said, it was a game that we absolutely dominated. And it was a brilliant game up for 90 minutes and 30 seconds. And then after that, it was just we hit the self-destruct button and it was just like how can we have not scored one single goal in that second half is unbelievable. And then to actually then concede one and then look like we're hanging on against a 10-man Burnley for a win, it was just terrible. The last few minutes was awful. But yeah, going through that, I mean, I said to the guy next to me, and it was quite a descriptive thing. I said it was like come to like 68th minute or something like that, and I said I described the match as like a bonfire just dying out. You know, like when you I don't know if you have bonfire night in Belgium. Probably not.
No,
it's something to react to the parliament and stuff.
It's the Guy Fawkes thing, right?
Yeah.
I know what it is.
But it's like I said, it's like 11:30 at bonfire night when everybody's leaving and the fire's dying out. It was just like so flat. So the crowd was just quiet. There was a guy right behind me trying to start some chants, and we was doing the chants, but it was very quickly dying out. And like it was just the crowd couldn't get going, the players couldn't get going. There was a man down. They obviously went to like a 5-4 non-formation.
Yeah,
because they brought their number 4 on for Lyle Foster to make it defensive change. And I actually said if they'd done that in the first half, when they had 11 men, it'd be 0-0 now because we clearly couldn't break them down.
Absolutely.
And it was just. But even then, in that moment, you know, we was dominant in possession, dominant in the game, and we should have got that third goal. And you know, I did kind of think in my head the next goal is going to cement it. If we score it, we've definitely 100% won. They score it, we've got a game on. And luckily, they scored it so late on that they couldn't do anything about it. I think if they just scored that goal 5 minutes earlier, could have been interesting, couldn't it, for Burnley?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so I do have another interesting question for you on yesterday's game. Who did you think was man of the match?
Oh, that's a very good question. Jesus. You put me on the spot there. I don't know why I'm talking about the game.
No worries.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that. I was kind of thinking. I was thinking of. Wait, just before I say it, I haven't seen who the actual man of the match is. I haven't seen even the highlights.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
I think
that's great.
Either Bruno or Chow.
Okay, all right. So that isn't my man of the match, but Bruno Guimaraes did win it. So no worries
Bruno,
there.
yeah.
Bruno
Right,
did win it, but my man of the match would have actually been Anthony Gordon, because I thought Anthony Gordon really had a positive performance. He has been getting a lot of slack over the last couple of months. I mean, rightly so, because before the Tottenham game, his last Premier League goal involvement was in January, which is woeful. It's nearly a year without any goals in the Premier League. That is, for an attacker, that isn't good enough. But especially yesterday, I thought he was really, really bright. He, in my opinion, is the person with the single best crossing ability in our squad. No, that's Jacob Murphy. I'm sorry. Jacob Murphy has the best crosses. But I think Anthony Gordon does the high cross better, because Jacob Murphy always curls it in front of the defense which is a really, really difficult ball to defend because you have to stick out your leg to defend it, but that means it can deflect towards your own goal. So that's a really, really tough ball to defend. Anthony Gordon just gives these cutting edge but high crosses, which are perfect for guys like Voltemade, but also perfect for a fullback running onto them in behind the striker, for example. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I mean, it was everything in Gordon's game. It were the combinations. It were
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
midfield at the halfway line. There were a lot of times where we couldn't really do the overlap or do the combinations we like to do often, or there was a sloppy pass towards him where he just gave it a burst of pace, ran around 3 or 4 Burnley players, and then played it in again to restart the attack, which is really positive. That's exactly what we want to see from Anthony Gordon. I also
Yeah.
think he was. Yeah, he was quite simply instrumental in every single time we wanted to get the ball further up the field, which is exactly what we want to see from him.
Yeah, it's nice. I must say, I wasn't asking him for to be substituted for once. That was nice. I've not really been impressed with him of late, but yeah, I mean, I will say he had a good game. He had a good game, and he had to as well because Harvey Barnes is playing so well. When he gets his chance, he
Absolutely.
absolutely needs to take it because if he doesn't play well, Barnes is straight back in the team, and well, so yeah, it's such a luxury to have. When Gordon's playing well and Barnes is playing well, both of them as a left back, as a left wingers, just what an absolute luxury to have. I think Mourinho said as much, didn't he, with his press conference after we played Burnley?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Such a luxury, Barnes on the bench. Just kept saying it, but it is though. Especially but Gordon, it seems to me like he needs to sort of get up for games. Sometimes, a lot of the times, I mean, if I was nitpicking on his performance in the first half, a lot of the
Mhm.
time he was caught in between going for the press and then holding back, and he didn't always get that decision right. So it was holding back when Burn was already there covering
Mhm.
and it was the time for him to go ahead and press, and he was like hovering back, and he ended up in no man's land. Like he wasn't pressing, and he wasn't coming back, so then they just passed around him, and it was like it was a training cone. Out of possession. And then there's other times where he went to press and it was like, no, 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 Burns out of position, don't press. And he's pressed, and then again they passed around. And so there's a bit out of possession. I think, but I've always been critical of Gordon out of possession.
Mhm.
He didn't have the bit, obviously, because it was Burnley. I think he got away with that one.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably.
they just couldn't capitalize on it. Like I thought, oh, well,
Mhm.
they've just passed round in there. They're in a really good position, and they go and like shank it away, and like, all right, whatever. But I'm thinking if that was a team like Aston Villa or
Mhm.
any of the big boys, then you think you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but in possession, I fully agree with you. Absolutely, electric. What you'd expect, trying to take on his man. Well, it was interesting to see him beat Kyle Walker in a foot race as well. He wouldn't have done
Yeah.
that. He wouldn't have done that a few years ago, would he? Uh, I
I
said,
don't think Kyle liked that either.
no. I said to the guy who sat beside me, like I said, you know, um, I said if Kyle Walker still had his pace, he would have got there. And then he said if Kyle Walker still had his pace, he wouldn't be playing for Burnley.
That's
And I
pretty
thought,
bang
yeah,
on, yeah.
fair play. So yeah, but no, yeah, I was impressed with Gordon. I was
Mhm.
well, yeah, again with yeah. I mean, I'll let you bring up some more points, but I was just going to say, uh, touch on Lewis. Sorry, not Lewis Mile. That was in Tottenham game. I'm getting mixed up now because we're doing reviewing two games at
Yeah.
a time. But Alanga,
Yeah.
it was frustrating at times. Sometimes he showed glimpses of brilliance, like what he had at Forest, where he was like taking them 2 touches and getting it round a man, and like,
Mhm.
wow, you're thinking, oh, this is brilliant. This is the Alanga we want to see. And then getting his shot away, like and getting crosses in. If he beats the first man on the cross and it goes into the box, I don't care if it's defended. Alanga's done his bit, and that's all
Yeah.
I asked for. And he did do a few crosses where it got into the box, and it was dealt with by Burnley. But you can't really ask for much more from Alanga in them
Mhm.
situations. He's beat his man on the flank, and he's got his crossing. But then
Yeah.
there were times where he didn't beat the first man, and there were times where he lost the ball, times where he's recycled it to a centre back. When you're thinking, just come on, do something.
Mhm.
So it was a bit of a mismatch. I don't know what your thoughts are on Alanga.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head pretty well there. He does do some really interesting stuff and some really useful stuff for us, beating his man, getting across inside the box. It always creates an opportunity, so that is really good. I think he's just too nervous at this moment in time. Especially his first Newcastle goal, but the assist as well has taken a lot longer than he probably would have thought, and his adaptation period has been longer than he would have hoped himself to. I believe. So his confidence is a little low, but the one thing you have to say about him, and I'm sure you will agree, is whenever he's on the pitch, he is trying. He doesn't look disinterested or like he's angry at Eddie Howe for his lack of opportunities or something. No, he gets on that pitch and he is looking to perform. He is looking to provide for his teammates because that's also something really important. He doesn't just turn every single ball he gets into a shot for himself, looking for that first goal, which is something I see a lot of new transfers do. So that's a gigantic positive. He still maintains that composure and that calm to be looking for the assist first, which is what we bought him for. And if Pires doesn't pull him down and get sent off in the first half, I also think Anthony Elanga might have already scored his first Newcastle goal by now, because that was looking like a really big opportunity. And what a fantastic through ball by Anthony Gordon, by the way, for that red card by Burnley.
Yeah, I saw in the last two games, Tottenham and Burnley, I've seen Elanga go through on goal
Hmm.
and then get brought down. And against Tottenham, it wasn't a free kick. Now, I think it was a free kick against Tottenham, but I don't think it was a sending off because he'd kicked the ball far too much. But this is why I
Yeah.
don't think it was a free kick, because he kicked the ball too far in front of himself. So then the referee was just like, you only had one option there, and that was to go to ground because
Hmm.
you fucked up by kicking the ball too far away. Right. And he did it against Burnley as well, where and I just think I get what you're saying, but I think he kicked the ball too far in front of himself. And I think Dubravka's getting there. I don't know. I mean,
Uh, Listen, I hear what you're coming from, and I must say, when it happened in real time, I immediately thought Stonewall red card, no discussion. But if you watch a slow replay, Martin Dubravka might have got there. You might
well,
be
I
right.
I, I haven't seen the highlights, so I'm only
Well,
going on what I saw in the stadium.
you really should have a look, especially at that particular highlight, because I don't actually really know whether Dubravka would have, because Anthony Elanga does also slow down because he gets pulled right before he goes down.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he is so unbelievably fast, so
yeah. He
fast
is.
that I
He is.
wouldn't confidently say he wouldn't have got there to the ball.
Yeah, yeah. My instant reaction when it was, he wouldn't have got there anyway. That's
Mhm.
just what I thought. But then maybe I'm not used to seeing players as fast as Alanga. I don't know. But I mean,
That might
you
be
know,
possible as well.
but yeah, I think I just thought that Dubravka would have got it. It's like against the Tottenham, he definitely kicked it too far. But he should have been pulled up for a free kick though. Maybe not a
Hmm.
red card or anything like that, but it should have been a free kick against Tottenham, and that would have been a nice way to manage the game at that precise moment in time. But obviously, the referee annoyed me because he was letting it was picking it up every single time against Spurs for every little niggle, and then
Yeah.
letting everything slide when it was us up. So it's like
Hmm.
do one or the other. Either give free kicks for everyone that's going to go to ground, or let a lot slide. Don't just let a lot slide. Give free kicks all the game, and then let it slide in the 90th minute when we're trying to see it out. But sorry, I'm sidetracking there. But yeah, I
No
mean,
worries.
with Alanga, yeah, it's yeah, I think he's going to need a continuous stint in the team and
Mhm.
to get his confidence up. Like I do agree with you. He does look like he's interested. He does look like he wants it. So that's one ingredient, as we know, with Anthony Gordon is essential because when Anthony Gordon doesn't look like he's interested, he's having a 2 out of 10 game, and he
Absolutely.
and we're screaming at Eddie Howe to substitute him off the pitch.
Hmm.
So we know that the talent is everything, but talent is one thing, but it's not everything, and a lot of it is your mentality.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree. Two more points I wanted to touch upon. The first point was something we already touched upon a bit. It was just finishing off on the Gordon point. He also hit the post with a really nice individual action, and in the second half, also hit the crossbar. So we could have actually scored more. He could have scored more. But that's exactly the kind of games you want him to have. Be cutting inside, looking to shoot, or looking to create, cut on his left foot and cross it in. That's the Anthony Gordon you want to see because that's an unpredictable Anthony Gordon. And an unpredictable Anthony Gordon is nearly impossible to defend. The
Yeah.
last thing we do have to touch upon is
Yep. I know.
a certain man's Newcastle United debut.
Yeah.
Johan Wissa came onto the pitch for his first minutes in black and white. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I was just happy to see him on the grass, basically. I just happy to see him on the pitch. I liked his movement, I'll be honest with you, off the ball. I didn't see much of him, but his off the ball movement, it seems a bit not, how can I put it, unorthodox, not what you'd expect.
Yeah.
So I was expecting him to run inside towards the winger, and he did the exact opposite. He ran away from the defender and then sort of come in. And I thought, I've not really seen that sort of movement before. Not from Wilson, not from Isak, not from Baltamada. So he is different in that regard, and he obviously sees the game differently, which is a good thing, because when you're wanting different options and you're wanting to change it, you don't want to just change it like for like and bring up another similar minded player, because then you're going to get the same results, aren't you? And if you're looking for a goal, so yeah, I just think at the time that he came on in the game, it was sort of dying out a bit, and I thought that, it was good to bring him on in a game that we, in a time where, well, at least at the time, we didn't think we'd necessarily needed the goal, although it turned out in the last few minutes we did need that goal.
Yeah, we could have done with it for sure.
But I didn't want him to come on in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes when it was 1-1 and we were absolutely desperately needed a goal. It was just, I think it'd be too much pressure on him to just literally, you need to hit the ground running. It's your first second in a Newcastle shirt and we desperately need you to score. I didn't want him to come on in that situation, and he didn't, thankfully. But I don't think you can really say much about his cameo appearance, shall we say, other than the fact that just glad to see him on the pitch.
Completely agreed. Yeah. He's had to wait a long time to make his debut. It's now finally here. I'm really happy for him to see it as well. And I think from everything I've seen, he looks like he's fitting in really well with the group. So that can only be beneficial as well. It looked like the lads were really happy to see him make his debut. So yeah, onward, and I'm very hopeful to see some very impressive things from Johan Wissa. Let's have a listen now to what Paul's final thoughts were on the Burnley game.
Whoa, full time and we get the 3 points. But did we do it the easy way? Did we fucking hell? Like, goodness me, Newcastle United 2, Burnley 1, and that was an awful lot closer than what it needed to be. Burnley are absolutely and utterly dog shit. I'm sorry to any Burnley supporters listening to this, but they were shocking in that game, and yet somehow right at the end given a spot kick, and it makes the last, well, I'm saying last couple of minutes, the last minute or two very, very squeaky bum time, given that the referee said a couple of minutes at the end of the game and we're still playing 8 minutes into stoppage time. I was wondering where the hell he got that from, but look, over the moon to have got the points. We closed the gap on Sunderland, of course, as well, but more importantly, that's 3 wins in 4 in the Premier League. Just them points that we dropped against Spurs, frustratingly so, and I was getting a bit of sort of post-traumatic stress disorder, to be honest, heading into the second half and the end of that game. We didn't put them to the sword, and that's the critique you've got of this team. This season, it hasn't clicked, or it's clicked in short spells. They haven't gone on and got the 3rd and 4th when they could have done, and today was the perfect opportunity to do that. Burnley literally sitting offering nothing, and we only had to string a couple of passes together and to get that 3rd one. Look, we came close, there's no doubt about it. Gordon, I thought, was unlucky. We've hit the woodwork, we've had good chances, there's been good saves, so it could have been on another day a lot easier, but it wasn't champagne viewing, it wasn't sexy football. It might have been Viagra football, to be honest, because we did what was needed to get the performance done at the end of the day. For all you filthy-minded people out there, goodness me, stop it now. Eddie Howe can't have been happy with Ramsey. He hauled him off after giving away a needless spot kick at the end of it. And there was just no need. It should have been a professional job. I was screaming like I was midweek. Just keep the ball, lads. Head to the corner, kill the game off, get the 3 points, and don't put us through the ringer. But they did put us through the ringer. And it's just typical Newcastle United. Malik Chow, absolutely fucking outstanding. Again, what a signing, what a player he is. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Alanga, I wasn't at all really impressed with, but he did, in the second half, do what I have been shouting for him to do for ages, and just literally, nick a yard through your pace, and then whip a cross in. And he did it twice within the space of about 1 minute. And I was like, yeah, fantastic. That's what we need to see more of. With Jacob Ramsey, I saw nothing throughout, honestly. At this stage, I would have rather have kept Sean Longstaff than this supposed upgrade. He just looks devoid of confidence. He's not great defensively. He's not great offensively. He doesn't look like he's going to score any goals. It's a real big question mark that Eddie Howe he needs to find answers for and find them quickly. You've got Elanga there, flattering to deceive, but putting in somewhat of a performance, but not that great deal. And then you've got Ramsey. Together, £100 million we invested in these two players, and they are offering scraps at best. Voldemar there starved of service up the top, but again, good feet, worked hard, put a shift in, no doubt about that. Gordon, I've got to say, actually, yes, he was taken up, but I think he was just being protected, to be honest. And yeah, I was impressed by Gordon today. He looks like he's got a bee in his bonnet. He looks like he's got a point to prove. And long may that continue, because that will push out the better performances out of him, and that's going to benefit Newcastle United ultimately. Eddie Howe did ring the changes with, I think, midweek in mind and the important game next Sunday, a little matter of a derby match with Sunderland down at the Stadium of Plight. We're a point behind them now. So look, it's job done at the end of the day. We needed the 3 points. We got the 3 points, but the performance wasn't particularly there. There was one or two standout performers. I thought Cher played good. And of course, the main man, Malik Chow. He doesn't disappoint, does he, all the time? Really brilliant, great player. Bruno as well. The audacity of that first goal, absolutely brilliant. I bet Martin Dubravka went to the ground to open up and swallow him up a hole when that goal went in. Talking about Dubravka, he got the standing ovation as he went off at the end of the game. He got serenaded as he come on for the second half. He got lots of love from the Newcastle United faithful, and rightfully so after what he's done. I know the Man United thing taints it with some people, but I thought it was right to applaud him. We did so for Timmy Krul many times, so I think it's only right as well that Dubravka got the love from literally home and away fans, everybody inside the stadium. I think it was important and right that he got that, thank you, from the fans. So all in all, 3 points, happy days, top half of the table. Visser's back. And again, didn't have much to do in the game, but it's just nice to see him fit, healthy, available, and on the road to recovery, and hopefully lots of goals in the Newcastle United shirt. So I'll leave it there, hand you back over to Ian. Happy enough with that. 3 wins out of 4 ain't that bad, is it? And roll on to Germany now, and the Champions League, and then the little matter of the derby coming up next weekend. Happy enough with that. Will it still be on last match of the day? Yeah, well, could be. But happy enough. 3 points, 2 goals, and Newcastle United heading up the Premier League.
And next week, because unfortunately we are running out of time for this week's episode. So a very quick look ahead at what is next week on the program for us. A Champions League fixture away in Germany against Bayer Leverkusen. And then the Wearside derby. We're traveling to the Stadium of Shite. And we're taking on the Scum. For one last, maybe very small segment on this podcast, I want to hear from you. What is your favorite Tyne-Wear or Wear-Tyne derby moment?
Well, it'll have to be the 6-1, Kevin Nolan.
All right.
100%. I was pissed off that Darren Bent scored the fucking 1 goal for them, though. Because we was winning them 6-0 and it was going to be so good, and then he had to go and stain that sheet and get one in I'm sure it was like the 88th minute or something like that. I was like, son off. Every time I hear that Darren Bent on TalkSport, I just think of that 1 goal Sunderland got, and I didn't even want it to get the 1.
Do you want to know what I think of when I hear the name Darren Bent? Because it's actually it is my favorite Tyne-Wear moment, because the thing is, I am 23 years old, so I don't have fond derby memories, unfortunately. But the one fond memory I do have is when Newcastle unfortunately got relegated. I remember on social media, the one thing that was trending by Sunderland supporters was #have fun playing Burton Albion every week. Now, a season later, Sunderland go down to the Championship. Another season later, at the end of the season, they are down in the dumps. 1 game, where they need a result at home. And who do they play? Burton Albion. And who scores the goal for Burton Albion to send them down to the third tier? It is Darren Bent. It is him to send Sunderland down to the third tier. So that is my favorite. That is my favorite Sunderland memory.
I didn't actually know the Darren Bent bit about that one, so I
It was
suppose I can
him.
let him off about that goal now. That's brilliant.
That is. It
That
really
is
is.
brilliant.
So yeah,
Brilliant poetry.
I'm really looking forward to the derby. It's going to be my first derby in the Premier League. I mean, really exciting stuff. Any predictions for the
Oh
derby?
God, no, God, no. I just Jesus. I mean, I heard someone reading in Talksport last night saying something about they've got no worries, no concerns over the derby. Or he said something. He said to Jason Cundy, he had 10% not worry but concern. And I thought he's a lot more optimistic than I am because,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose our fortunes have turned around a bit. I would be a little bit more confident if we'd have saw Burnley out comfortably, but with that last few minutes of the game tainting the view of it, it
Yeah.
was like going into these two games now. I don't know. I'm a bit concerned. I've seen something that they're going to have. Sunderland are going to have eight players go to AFCON.
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Or is it 7? On the 15th of December, and we play them on the 14th.
Yep.
I was like, oh, can't we just say it's a waterlogged pitch and have it postponed for 3 days or something? Like, but then again, they would have the excuses then, wouldn't they? So I suppose you'd need them to have a fully strength side. So
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'll be confident when we do beat them, we can, we can have the full bragging rights and they can't have any excuses. But no, it's in truth, it's going to be a tough one because they picked up some big results, like beating Sunderland, drawing to Liverpool at Anfield, drawing to Arsenal 2-2. They really show up in the big moments, and they've just collected the points. And you know what? The one game that they did lose was against Burnley, and it was like how they were awful. And I think Burnley must have
They,
dragged them
they
down to
lost
their level.
against Man United as well. So against the really
Well,
poor teams.
yeah, true. But I mean, if they did beat Burnley, look where they would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, they're doing well, and I hate to say it, but they are doing well, and it's going to be a tough game. And I'll be honest with you, I am a little bit concerned, a little bit more concerned than what I was at the start of the season. I thought, oh, here we
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
At the start of the season, I was like, here's 6 points, brilliant.
Mhm.
But oh, Jesus, it's not going to be that easy now. If it was at home, I'd be more confident. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I
Complete.
mean,
The thing is, with these sort of games, normally all the stats from beforehand go out of the window. They don't
that's true.
necessarily matter. But one thing I do want to admit or say, Eddie Howe, as a Newcastle United boss, has only lost one game out of 28 against newly promoted teams, and that was against Luton.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
yeah.
is that is about as good as a record it gets when it comes to beating
Yeah, but like you said,
the lower
just like with the
sides.
stats and stuff like that, that goes out of the window. It's just an
Absolutely,
absolute,
yeah.
it's a battle, isn't it? It's an absolute battle, and that's
I'm
exactly what it
looking.
will
I'm,
be.
I'm so looking forward to seeing Joe Linton versus Granit Xhaka. That is
Oh
going to
yeah,
be so
when
good.
when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object,
Exactly that.
like a game of conkers, wouldn't it? Like someone's going to break first. The no, it's if Jesus, it's going to be a spectacle. It's for the neutral. I'm sure it'd be a good game. I think that
Absolutely, yeah.
every Newcastle and Sunderland fan are going to watch it behind the settee, biting their nails. But it's going to be I wasn't. You'd be very shocked to know that I wasn't successful in the ballot for the away tickets on that one.
That's
That's
unfortunate. Yeah.
that's the 175th consecutive away ballot I've been unsuccessful for. But anyway, that's, I did go to West Ham and
Ooh,
Bournemouth and Brighton this season, so I have
hey.
been to some of the games. But that was because I was unsuccessful in the ballot, but then it dropped out again, and then I was able
Okay,
to go
okay.
on all three. But anyway, yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's. Oh, geez, I don't know. Is it so bad for me to say that? Would it be so bad for a draw,
Uh,
or
um,
am I getting too worried now?
I think you are because Sunderland, their league position belies their underlying statistics. They concede the most shots out of any team in the league, Oh no, that's not true. They take the least amount of shots themselves out of any team in the league, and only Nottingham Forest and Wolves concede more shots than them. So that's
I think
both at both ends. That shows that they are overperforming, which is fine. That's all credit to them. You can be overperforming, and they've given themselves the platform to comfortably stay up this season, which was going to be their goal over the summer. So they've pretty much already achieved that goal. The
yeah,
thing that will happen now, in my opinion, is the table will even out. A lot of teams which are underperforming are going to start climbing the table, like us, for example, and a lot of teams who are getting the rub of the green, who are having marginal decisions go for them or against them, or have genuine just late goals go for them or against them. Like, for example, the Bournemouth game. The Bournemouth game is the only game over the last four which Sunderland won. And if you replay that game 10 times, I'm sure Bournemouth win it 8 of the 10 times because Bournemouth were not only better than Sunderland were in that game, but Bournemouth should have gone ahead
yeah,
when Sunderland actually went ahead. If Evan Nilsson actually had a working pair of brains, or yeah. So yeah, I
I
mean,
get it.
every single thing has context to it.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, if you take in the context of us away from home and
Hmm.
our start to the season, then maybe actually a draw wouldn't be the worst in the world.
Well,
So I
I
do
think
kind of get it.
we go 1-0 up. I think, and then they'll get a corner in 90 plus 18, and we will go to jelly in the box, and then they'll probably get the equaliser. That whatever. But uh, I suppose when you're looking at Sunderland's objectives, I think they were very very clear and concise with their objectives this season. It's avoid relegation and beat
Mhm.
Newcastle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
So
I do
that
think
they've
we
always,
have to, if we are going down the neutral road for just a quick second, and we have to give them credit, it has to be both on the manager, Regis Lebris, and some of the new signings. Because the goalkeeper, Robin Roefs, the right back, Nordi Mukiele, and the two central midfielders, Granit Xhaka and Noah Sadiki, all four of them are shouts for signing of the season. They are
yeah, they've recruited.
unbelievable pickups.
They've recruited well. They've recruited very well, and the players have hit the ground running, and the manager's got the best out of them. You know, I go back to the bloody playoff final, and I was sort of secretly happy that they got promoted because of these derbies, because I wanted these derbies so bad,
Mhm.
and because I wanted to play Sunderland so bad, home and away in the Premier League, and have those derbies back. I was actually secretly sort of glad that they got promoted, but I was under the lens of we're going to smash them, we're
Yeah.
going to absolutely annihilate them,
And
and
then they spent
now
200 million.
but then now there's but it's not just spending the money. But as we know, we've seen with Liverpool, you can spend 500
Yeah.
million and still be shy. So they've spent it. They spent it well, and now it's just tilted that view on its head. It's like, oh shit, Sunderland are promoted. They're actually decent.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Sheffield United in the Premier League now. Can we have another 8-0, please? But but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a bit like be careful what you wish for, isn't it? But yeah, it's good. But at the end
Absolutely.
of the day, whatever the outcome, we do
Hmm.
want these derbies back, don't we? We do want these derbies back.
We do.
It's
Yeah.
something.
I'm glad to see the derby as well because I'm
Yeah.
not a Premier League fan for 9 years, so I haven't actually seen the time where derby happen in li
Uh,
in
well,
real time in the
as,
Premier
as far
League.
as I'm concerned with the derbies, right? Basically, I've always been like a member at Newcastle. Gosh, since I was a young little lad, and I've always been going to crumbs of games here and there, and sort of mainly away, especially away games in the Championship. I went to away games in the champion, pretty much every away game in the Championship. Before we got relegated, I went to quite a few home games. Even when we got relegated the first time, when we had Chris Oaten, I went to a lot of Championship games there away. But then every time we played Sunderland, I couldn't get a ticket because I was just a member. So
Hmm.
I had no, because the way you get loyalty points is you have to be a season ticket holder and go to away games. Well, I was never a season ticket holder. So even though I'd gone to away games, I never collected one single loyalty point, which was a
Hmm.
bit of a crap thing. But anyway, I could never get a ticket. And then when I became a season ticket holder, we was never in the same division. So I've never actually been to a Townley derby, and
All
it's
right.
so when they got promoted, and now I'm a season ticket holder, I'm guaranteed one, and with
Yeah.
my son.
I
So
get
that
that's exciting.
And that's literally just a few days after my son's birthday as well, 10th birthday.
Is it in March, the
It's in
return leg?
March, yeah.
Yeah.
March 22nd. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Well, as you can see, March 22nd, I know the
Yeah,
date
yeah,
already. I know
absolutely.
that date's been etched into my skull. Again, why we need the derbies back, because this is the games we want. So I'm absolutely looking forward to it for me. It's going to be a first one for me. I'm kind of jealous of my son that he's only 10 years old and he gets his first one.
Yeah,
I'm,
I get what you mean. Yeah.
I'm nearly 40. I've
You
been
never
supporting
forget
the
your
club.
first, they say, right?
I've been supporting the club for 3 decades, and this is my first. Yeah, we're sharing it together, but it's a nice moment to share together. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to the home one. But yeah, like I said, the away one. Well, when you come up to the Leverkusen and the Sunderland games in the week that follows now, I think that the way that we've rotated means that most of the squad are quite fresh. Um, Hall should be able to play against both games because he's rested against Burnley, so
Hmm.
that shouldn't be a problem at left back. My own in the midfield, like I said, we've seen minutes in the legs of Miley, Willock, Ramsey, obviously Tonali, Bruno Joelinton. They're all firing, so they're all fresh and match ready. So I like that.
Hmm.
Baltimore now we've got Wisser back. We've got Baltimore and Wisser. We've got the wingers. You got Gordon and Barnes on left, Langren Murphy on the right. They're all you can pick any one of those and it's fine. And the centre backs, I know Botman's injured, but you got Burn as left side centre back, Chow that can play either, and then you got Shaw on the right. Brilliant. My only concern at the minute is the right back position
Hmm.
because you've got Tino Livramento, who's brilliant, but now we're going to ask him to do another 90 minutes against Leverkusen, another
Yeah.
90 minutes against Sunderland, and then when does he get a rest? Because
Hmm.
you've got Kraft and Trippier both injured, and it is a concern, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was
The,
thinking the
o- the, o-
same
the, o-
thing.
the only thing we can think of to give him a rest is to play a back five and put Jacob Murphy as a right wing back,
That's
and
exactly
it's
what I
like.
was going to say.
But
Yeah.
then you've got to change the entire shape of your team just to accommodate just to rest one player. It's
Hmm.
not ideal, is it?
No, it really isn't. It is something I have talked about on this podcast with Paul before. He does believe as well, and I do too, that we need to be looking for a young fullback in January, especially
Mm.
or preferably someone who can play both sides, like Livramento, for example, is able to do.
Yeah.
Some of the suggestions we have put forward, these aren't necessarily young, but they are double-sided. Cambiasso from Juventus and Serginho Dest from PSV. Now, I struggle a little bit with the physical side of the game with both of those fullbacks, but if we want to invest young in a fullback who is left-footed but is actually most comfortable as a right back, which is really unique in my opinion, we should have a look at the Belgian kid at Club Brugge, Joachim Says, because he had a fantastic game against Lamine Yamal in that 3-3 draw Club Brugge had against Barcelona in the Champions League. He is, most of all, he's very tactically smart. He does instructions he gets given from the coach really, really well on the pitch, and he can translate that into performances really, really greatly. And he does overlap on both sides and invert on both sides. So he's really, really versatile. I would have a look at him.
Yeah, brilliant. I might have to look him on Football Manager as well now.
You
Check that.
should. You should.
But yeah, no, I think I do agree. Definitely need a fullback. Probably in January. Probably it is urgent. It really is, especially when you
Mhm.
look at the thickness of games that we've got, and then it's just literally like I say, you take Hall out or Trippier out, and you're losing an arm. You take both out, and you've lost both arms. Not Trippier, sorry, Tino and Hall. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I always think there's even though that Trippier's injured at the minute. So it looks more urgent than it actually is, but he's actually getting old as well, like you say. And I think that the reason why it's important for them to be young is because they're going to have to accept being an understudy. You're not going to get better than Hall and Tino. I think personally they're the best fullbacks in the league. And I don't say that lightly either. I think they are the best fullback. I wouldn't swap Hall for any left back. I wouldn't swap Tino for any right back. That's where I'm at the minute. Maybe I'm
Mm.
biased. I don't know, but I just wouldn't. And you
I
might say,
think
"Oh,
there are on both sides there's one player who is having a better season, but I wouldn't take them over Tino Livramento and Luis Holm mainly due to their age and also due to what specifically they bring to our team. But I do hear what you're saying.
I
I'm
like
th
Munoz. I like Munoz at Palace as on the
yeah,
right. I do
I'm
like
thinking
that.
about Timber at Arsenal and Cucurella at Chelsea at this moment in
These are the
time.
things, right? Do you know when you talk about Arsenal and Chelsea players, it I get what you're saying, right? I don't like Cucurella, but I get it. I get it's good,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But these players are good within a good team. It's all right being good when you've got, world class players around you. But that's why I admire Munoz and I did admire Kirkes at Bournemouth, because it's one thing you're doing it when you're literally surrounded by world class talent, but when you're at Palace and you're at Bournemouth and you're looking around you and
Yeah.
you know you don't have this guy to the right here who's on 400 grand a week, who's had 75 caps for Brazil or Holland or whatever. You don't have that. So to actually excel in a team like Palace and Bournemouth, no disrespect to Palace and Bournemouth, but
Mhm.
they're not paying players 350 grand a week. They're not got, Brazilian, Argentinian world class players.
Absolutely.
To excel in a team like that is better. So for me, more kudos goes to like Kirkes from last season and Munoz as well at Palace. But going to it, I think the reason why it's important for the new player to be young is because he's going to have to accept to be an understudy and have less minutes. I suppose the caveat to that would be, if they are, it doesn't matter if they are old, if they can play both flanks, because if they can play the right back or the left back, they'll get plenty of minutes, because when Hall needs a rest, he'll come in, and when Tino needs a rest, he'll come in. So he's going to basically have the minutes of what is essentially two squad players
Yeah.
rolled into one. So I don't think it's massively important for him to be young if they can play both flanks. But obviously you don't want them too old, because you don't want to sign like a 33-year-old player who's only got 2 years left in him. But yeah, but I suppose the long term solution would, in an ideal world, would be to get a young left back and a young right back, and then they
Yeah.
can be the understudies. Bit like what Tino did with Trippier. How that was almost seamlessly,
Mhm.
wasn't it? Where it just sort of like merged. All of a sudden, Tino became the main man and Trippier's the substitute. So it's like seamlessly, transitioned into that. And it'd be good
Absolutely.
to have a young understudy that's able to sort of, go under both Hall and Tino.
Mhm.
But
Or
it's good.
something like Arsenal like to do with their defenders who are comfortable at playing both fullback and center back, which offers you cover in both positions. Think of Calafiori, Timber, White. They all are comfortable playing both in the middle and out wide. So that
Yeah, I
could be interesting
suppose.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I
My
don't
my
want too many
experience.
of those profiles because usually
Yeah,
those
because
are a bit smaller and a bit more
yeah,
nimble. But
my
one,
experience with those, though, I mean, I suppose from a Newcastle point of view, is players like Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, and Dan Burn. You're just thinking,
yeah, but
no,
let's hope we're shopping in different markets right now.
just stick to one. No, but I mean, I suppose I get what you're saying, but like, I don't know. I just think, don't get the jack of all trades. You know what I mean? Get
Mhm.
what you need, and I just think there's so much difference between a left back and a centre back, or I should say a full back and a centre back. And I, I mean, you say about Timber and Calafiori, but I wouldn't want either of those as centre backs
Um, as out and out center backs in the back four, I wouldn't probably want them either.
in a back three,
Especially,
maybe.
yeah, in a back three, I think that could work. The
Yeah,
thing
100%.
why I would actually quite like it if we were to have a look at someone who could play center back and fullback on one of the sides, is it allows the other fullback to bomb on forward even more. So imagine if you have a right-sided center back at right back. If Lewis Hall is taking up a position next to Voltmade in that number 10, then we have a back three of three actual competent center backs who can cover space, and you can have, for example, a Burn or a Tiao on the sides to cover the large amount of space, and have someone who is more comfortable on the ball, like for example Fabian Scher, have him be our central defender and step into the midfield to dictate the tempo of the play. That could be really interesting as well.
Yeah, but I think we are pretty much as a fan base all in agreement that it has to be fullbacks for January, because I don't think we,
And
I
a
don't think
creative
we.
midfielder. I
Yeah, well,
genuinely
I
think we
mean, to be
need
honest
one.
with you, we can. Yeah, but is that really urgent? I don't know. I mean, like,
I think so. I think it's
really?
even more urgent than a fullback, because fullbacks is cover for when players are missing. I genuinely think a creative midfielder is something we don't have. When a team sits deep and wants to play a game where they don't allow runners from us, we do not have a way of finding our teammates, especially our attackers. We don't have a way of
Yeah,
creating chances. The thing I usually like to talk about is having creative ideas, there aren't many players in our team who have creative ideas. It's always
No.
rinse, repeat, the same routines, the same crosses, the same. I want a wild card in there.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. I suppose. But yeah, I suppose I'm a bit more pragmatic in that sense, where I just think about cover. But if you're thinking about buying a player to slot into the first team, like a first team player, not a squad player,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking, is January the right market to do that?
For the thing is, January is a difficult market to do that. I completely agree with you on that. But for a team like us, it might actually be the right market because you have an opportunity to sign players 6 months before the biggest clubs probably get involved to sign them as well.
Yeah,
Which is
I
exactly
suppose.
what we're
Yeah,
looking to do with, for example, Case Smith from AZ.
yeah. What I like about us signing players in January is like what we did with Gordon. So we signed Gordon in January, and what he essentially did is he had like a 6 month pre-season.
Exactly, yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
He basically spent 6 months getting up to speed, you just had a massively long pre-season in a season. And then he
Hmm.
went off to the under-21s tournament and smashed it, and then came back and he was just like absolutely hit the ground running. Now, if we'd have signed Gordon in the summer, he would have took, how long would he have took to get up to speed?
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. So the good thing about signing players in January is at least we know they're going to be primed and ready to hit the ground running in the next season. Because what we are horrible at doing is signing players early in the summer.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, I'm
are.
quite surprised with Alanga. We got Alanga in. I thought that was actually quite a good bit of business because we got Alanga in and we was able to give him a full pre-season and play him. And I
Yeah,
thought
he was
that's
actually
actually
able
quite,
to go with us on tour.
yeah, absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? I think that's the first time I've ever seen it in my
Yeah.
life where we've signed a player like in good time. Usually we wait until the last week of the transfer
Yeah.
market closing and then we go, oh, we'll need to sign players if we
Yeah,
forgot
your
about
Volta
them.
Wilder and your visas. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
it's not even just that. I mean, just like I say, just going right back through it because I mean, I suppose you're looking at you do get guilty of looking at the game through like a football manager type of lens, don't you? And you always say, in an ideal world, you'd like to sign your players early. But I mean, you would though, wouldn't you? It just makes sense, especially when you're looking at Eddie Howe. And Eddie Howe talks so much about getting players up to speed, getting players in a pre-season, playing players in the getting players used to the system, getting players fit,
Hmm.
and his
Completely agree.
preparations. His
Yeah,
preparations are so important to him and the way he wants to be. So to sign a player, when you're already 3 games into a season is just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. And I get behind the scenes we didn't have the right sporting directors and all that sort of stuff. But now we have and we've got no excuse. But it doesn't fill me with confidence that we're going to go in the summer and buy someone early. So that again, that I go back to my point. That's why I do like January signings in that respect, is that not necessarily for the here and now,
but they are
we
early.
are in a good, I think we're in a good position with the squad. We just need a few tweaks, and I think that's the perfect opportunity to sign someone because then they don't have to hit the ground running. We sign a fullback, we sign a creative midfielder. They don't have to hit the ground running. They can just sort of naturally breed into the squad. We've got a lot of games, so they'll still get some minutes. And then with a longer term view, we're looking forward to next season. I think that's the perfect way.
All right. I've just seen we've only got 1 minute left before this is going to shut off. So I suggest this is where we will leave it for today. Some really, really interesting topics we have discussed. Maybe one thing I would like to add at the end of this podcast is the Mo Salah situation, which has absolutely popped off yesterday. He's given a burning interview and he has expressed that the Brighton game for Liverpool might actually be his last at Anfield, which is a genuinely bonkers situation. So this is probably something we'll be talking about some more on next week's episode. For now, I would like to thank everybody for listening. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube, and be sure to check out all the socials Magpie247 on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know the drill. We would like to see you in the next episode. Have a good one.